Hey, instructional coaches, I want to make sure I gave you my top 10 scaffolding techniques, right? They're essential for our teachers. We want to make sure that we know that everybody is on their individual journey and their learning path, but we know that the scaffolding technique is a gradual releasing response that we do, and we want to be able to reduce the cognitive overload. So I hope you enjoy this presentation as much as I love talking about it. Now, you may ask me, why does scaffolding matter? Well, of course, it helps to build student independence, right? When students understand that we release just enough so they can do it on their own, they give themselves that autonomy to keep trying, right? It also increases engagement and allows them to try on their own to be successful. It reduces the cognitive overload, right? Instead of giving all the elephant, we want to break the elephant down into little pieces. And then we want to make sure that the learning is accessible. All students have access to the curriculum. Now, one of the things, doesn't matter what subject you're teaching, you should have is pre-teaching vocabulary. What does that even look like? Really thinking about what are the essential terms that they need to understand or even use in their vocabulary to be able to understand the complex topic. What does it mean to have definitions with examples, visual definitions, morphology input, so students are understanding the piece of the word to get them to understand other words that are similar and how they're similar in piece. Understanding the visuals, the gestures that can go along with vocabulary. If we can pre-teach some of the vocabulary, we will help them be able to make connections across the curriculum. Another one of my favorite. Now, people say it's only for elementary school, but I beg to differ. If you do this in middle and high school, you will get so much bang for your buck. So thinking about what are your visual aids, because it's that dual coding that your students need. The visuals, think of what are your types of visual aids? What do your anchor charts look like for ongoing reference? I remember this was testing season and the teacher had the anchor chart. But let me just say, if you're just putting it up on the wall and you don't make reference to it, it's kind of like ugly wallpaper. Nobody knows and nobody cares. But if you're constantly touching it, you're constantly making reference to, and I remember students, everything is covered, everything is taken down. At the end of the year, the students are looking up to the blank wall and staring at the visual representation, right? Think of that power that it has, either the mnemonic or song that was introduced during that time, but the constant touching of the visual board and students make a reference to it is key. So, but also thinking about what do your flow charts look like, your sequences, your songs, your infographics with understanding true complex data, the benefits for our students, right? Making abstract concepts more concrete, supports differentiation, different learning styles, reduces cognitive overload, enhances the call, thinking of the call and response. It constantly, here's some implementation tips. We co-create visuals with others so we can make duplicates. Be consistent. Make sure you keep your displays accessible to the eye, and then update your information regularly based on current things that you're researching. Again, many people say that, Cassandra, this is the elementary thing. No. Sentence stems is ELL, it's a SPED, it's a differentiation learning, it's a middle school, it could be college. So thinking about what are the sentence stems and ways that teachers are thinking aloud to cognitively express their ideas and their thoughts out loud with the students. So what are your sentence frames that you're putting on the board, or talking stick conversations that you have? How are you modeling the academic language that needs to be used in these type of seminars, right? And then what is the verbal thinking that needs to happen? And then that gradual release to where now not only are you thinking out loud, students are thinking out loud and processing it in group circles, during independent work time, or even during a conversation fishbowl that they're having in the classroom. Hey guys, chunking and guided practice is great as well. Thinking of how are you breaking down complex tasks. You should be able to explain anything, even though it's very abstract or complex in sentence. So really thinking about how do we divide our ideas into multi-step practices? How can you demonstrate what this looks like? And sometimes it may be a model structure or a student written document with a rubric. So what does that even look like? It could be the I do, we do, but I've even seen people switch that up to where it's you do and you're trying to kind of engage with the content before there's a demonstration, because sometimes students will give you different ways or different lenses to look at the concept. So this is not a one way. This is all the ways that you can do to support your students. Here's another one that I love, but some people feel that it's only elementary and primary, but I think this benefits all students. Really thinking about your graphic organizers. And so what are we using for compare and contrast? How do we develop a narrative structure that is systematic in play? And then how are we activating knowledge, whether it's a KWL chart, connecting to prior experiences, encouraging inquiry learning, really thinking about what are we doing to ensure that students they have the scaffolds, they have the graphic organizers, and they have the rubrics prior to the assignment. Okay, last but not least, bringing it all together, right? thinking about our next steps. How do we implement it? So first, we got to see, what are we using? What are we doing? How do we assess the needs, right? Identify what are our barriers to some of our learning gaps, and then select our strategies. Choose one or two techniques that will address some of the identified needs, and then how do we adjust and gradually release, right? Sometimes you may feel that, oh, I'm releasing too much. Some of our students are trying to figure out what to do. Then you adjust and really thinking about what does it mean to implement some things and monitor to see if it's working and track progress throughout the time. I hope these tips help. Talk to you later for more. Bye.